Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and as a lot of you know, I very recently switched over from my standard full body 3 days a week to doing a 4-day a week push-pull, which means I'm technically doing split training, although it's movement pattern split, and that's usually how I do splits historically. That's what I advocate. I tell people if you're going to not do full body, you need to do movement pattern splits, not necessarily base it upon body part. And invariably what comes up, I have an exercise in there that doesn't fit where people think they should place it in their split. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, work on skilling at my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about this. So, because what am I doing? I have hip thrusts on my pull day. Hip thrusts on my pull day. And someone says, but Jason, that's not a pull. That's right. That's absolutely right. And this is something we need to talk about when it comes to splitting up your training. People miss the point. Why do we split training up? To increase training volume and to organize it in a way that makes sense to us. There's no physiological reason why you would ever split the body up. It's actually a bad idea in certain ways. In other words, split training can actually hurt your results. Generally, full body training is going to produce better overall results, and it's generally what we should be doing until your needs basically push you in a different direction. So, here's the thing that we come to with this. Yes, it's not a pull. It is actually technically more of a push. If we wanted to think about it, you're pushing the weight away from the ground, away from gravity, instead of pulling it away. Why didn't I throw it on my push day? Because my push day has too much volume already. My push days with the 3 exercises I'm doing, if I do up to 5 sets, that's all I can handle. That's it. And this is another big exercise that I want to work into my rotation. So I've got it on a different day. Got it on a different day. Now, that works just fine. Is it going to hurt my recovery in any way to have a pull exercise on my push day? No. Is it appropriately placed? Yes, because I would have to take something else out of the push day to swap it in there that would be considered even more of a push and would make people freak out even more. Like if I were to throw my standing press into my pull day instead of my push day, people would really be freaking out, wouldn't they? My God, a press is not in the press day. That would be the only other thing that would make sense though, right? Because the squat and the bench stuff, or the dips, depending upon how I have it set up, those are going to be the biggest exercises, the most muscles involved. And so really that needs to be my first 2 on a push day. So here's the problem we run to. People have to quit being dogmatic with their splits. We do splits in order to organize our training when we're not doing the same exercises every single time we're at the gym. Okay, let's step back and assess that again. What's the purpose of a split? So that you do different exercises when you come into the gym on different parts of your rotation, so that you can do more total training volume in any given session and more total training volume through the week, because you need more days, right? You need more days per week than 3, so we need to start splitting things up at that point. Because that's the reason, again, we do it. You want a little more exercise selection, a little more volume. It's done for organization purposes. It doesn't actually matter. And the moment you become dogmatic and you're not willing to put an exercise on a given day that you know you need to be doing, right, that you know you need more of, your split has now become detrimental to your gains. In other words, the hang-up that you have in your head about the way that you're splitting up training has now become detrimental. It's like Jamie Lewis always said to people, he's like, quit thinking in those terms. That Jamie Lewis always, and he is incredibly jacked, incredibly strong pound for pound, stays ripped. He's always kind of said, hey, every time you're in the gym, you need to do some sort of push, pull, and a squat. Sometime, every time you're in the gym. And he does a lot of random, unprogrammed stuff. That's the way he looks at it, and it works pretty well for him. Then that completely eliminates this whole problem of what to place and what day, doesn't it? But you guys see the point. It works for him. But the moment you step back and you go, man, I know I need to be squatting a second day every week. And let's say you're doing a body part split, and this is, again, why they're a problem. If you're looking at it and you know that you need to be squatting more often. Hell, let's say you're doing a push-pull legs. Or you're doing a body part split. How many people out there who follow this would ever put squats on their arm day? How about push-pull legs? How many would throw in extra squats on their push day? Not many, would they? Because in their mind, they have to do exercises that fall into that category. That's what you have to do on that day, because this is my arm day. I can't do squats. No, this is my push day, not my leg day. I can't do extra squats, even though I know I need to do them. My split won't let me because this is what I'm doing. Do you know how autistic that is? When you start doing that, your autism or your OCD, whatever it is that's causing it, is now interfering with your gains. You can't look at your training in that regard. We split things up for organization purposes. But when you know that you have an exercise that you need to work into your rotation at a higher frequency, you need another day for it, you need to put it in there somewhere, you can't step back and let your split dictate to you where you put it. That is the reason full body is superior, because you're going to train everything every time you're at the gym. It's usually why it works. But my push-pull still ends up being a full body, doesn't it? Yeah, it really is. It's just that it's a 4-day full body organized into an A and B. And it's still full body training, right? Because let's say I bench or dip, squat, and press all in one day. That's full body. That's full body. Same thing, you're deadlifting, right? Deadlifting, pull-ups, rows, glute bridges, curls, whatever, the things I'm doing on my pull days. That's full body too, isn't it? It's technically full body workouts. Yeah, there's some muscles that aren't getting a lot of priority. You know, my biceps aren't getting much work on the push days. My triceps aren't getting a lot of work on the pull days. But they're still getting some. If you understand how these things actually work, these exercises work, there's still some overlap. But some of those muscles aren't getting a lot. Maybe my quads aren't getting much on the pull days. And my hamstrings aren't getting a lot on the push days. But they're still getting worked. And that's okay. And here's what the take home is. People need to remember, it's okay when you start splitting your training up and you're not doing a standard full body where you do the same workout every time you're at the gym, just about. Same exercises at least, or at least mostly the same exercises. When you start splitting things up, it's okay to have an exercise that doesn't meet the pattern or body part or whatever you think you're supposed to be doing. Because the moment you start limiting yourself, when your split becomes dogmatic and set in stone, you lost the entire purpose of doing a split. You lost the entire purpose. You lost all the benefits, and now splitting your training up is now going to hurt your gains. You can't develop that mentality. It's not helpful. You have to be willing to put exercises into days that don't necessarily fit the preconceived pattern that you have put into your head that you're doing. Because it actually doesn't matter. All right, splitting up your training is done for organization reasons, so that it makes sense in your head when you're splitting things up further to add more days or more volume every week. That's it. You have to be flexible in it if you want to maximize progress. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.